Hey everybody, it's Peter from Brayford Kia. Welcome to our live video series. It snowed last night, and that means it's another perfect time to talk about winter things. So last time it snowed, we talked about all-wheel drive. This time, as it snowed, we're going to talk about EVs in the winter. It's one of the most common things I get asked about, and we're going to spend about a half an hour today going through a number of things you should keep in mind. If you're looking at an EV, if you own an EV, all of these things. So we'll dive right into that. Now, if you're just joining us and you're not live with us, feel free to skip ahead to the 3-minute mark. That's where we'll get going on the content of this. In the meantime, we're going to let our regular audience build right now. And if you want to know how to join us, let me show you how to do that right now. We'll come around here and we will flip the camera right there. There we go. Hey, Unknown, what's up? Some of our regulars here. Okay, I'm on the wrong page. Let's go over here. So what you have to do is you have to go to YouTube. Sometimes these videos get thrown into somewhere that's not on YouTube. So if you're not on YouTube, go to YouTube and just simply hit the refresh page at, let's just go to the home page. That's way easier. Okay, hit the refresh page at 2 o'clock and you will see our live video oftentimes right here on the home page. If it's not there, do me a favor, hit the videos tab. It'll be the first video right there. So what we'll do is we'll click into that video right now. Do we get to watch an ad? Ooh, I bet we do. Oh, who's this dude? He's got better hair than me. Okay, 5 worst foods. We should know that. Skip ads. Okay. Okay, there we go. We've got some of our regulars in here. I'm just going to blow this up. Keys and Teddy. So I did not grab Teddy because I don't think we're going to use him. He has nothing to do with winter. He's more of a summertime kind of guy. I do have the keys in the car, so this is my regulars reminding me of what to get because I often forget the keys. Maybe what I should do, though, is get the keys in my pocket. Teddy's cold. He can't work for today. Yeah, Teddy's got a fur coat. He should be fine. Speaking of cold, I was cold, but now I'm warmed up. So I'm going to put the key in my pocket. We will talk about this car. Let's see. What news do I have? Oh, big news. Big news. I disc golf. I realize that's a nerdy sport. If you haven't disc golfed, search YouTube for disc golf. Awesome. I got a hole in one on Saturday. Nobody cares, but I do. So that's the only news we have to share there. All right, what color is this? That's a good question. This is white. I believe it is a nice white for winter. Let's just check that out. Overview. Hold on one second here. This is, I believe it's called Snow White Pearl. That's a perfect color, and I want to make sure of that. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a couple seconds here. Again, we're just waiting to get that 3-minute mark. We're about 30 seconds away from starting this. And if you are a regular, if you want to hit that like button, just hit it up front. That would help. If you're going to make me earn it, that's fine too. But I'm trying to get to 30 likes on all of these videos. So there's usually about 150 people on these things, 150, 170, 190. So if you want to hit that like button sometime in the next half hour, that'd be great. Don't forget to mention the length of the plug-in cable. We measured that, so that's actually a good thing to mention. We'll talk about that in a second. And disc golf's fun and challenging. Very good workout. There we go. It's still snowing somewhere. Okay. Okay, so here we go. 3-minute mark. All right, everyone. We sort of wasted some time talking about useless things for the past couple minutes, but that's okay. So the reason I'm doing this video is, as most of you know, I own an EV, and we have learned a few things both from just experience working at the dealership, and I have tried to pay attention to some of the things in my own EV that have to do with the winter. So we're going to talk about that. Now, somebody asked me real quickly, I'm going to answer a question that's sort of a hair off topic for a second. Somebody asked me, how long is the charge cord that comes with this car? We measured that for a customer on the weekend. It was 17 feet. So if you're looking to charge, I believe that's about 15-ish feet from the block, about a couple feet from the block to the regular plug, and then 15-ish feet from there. So 17 feet, that's what we got. Somebody already said a comment. My first winter is mine. Looking forward to this video. Okay. Oh, first winter with mine. Yeah, okay. See, now I have glasses. I can read across the room a little better. So get used to the glasses, guys. I'm starting to get used to them myself. Okay, so we're going to go through and talk about what you need to know for the winter. We're going to start with some basics, and then we're going to get into things that nobody else is showing you. So if you haven't got time to stick around for a half an hour, do me a favor, bookmark this, save it to watch later, whatever you need to do on this video, and then watch it, and hopefully it'll answer some of your questions. If not, grab a beverage, grab some snacks. Let's get going. All right, very first thing I want to talk about, we have Kia Soul EVs and Kia Niro EVs here. We also got a Tesla sitting outside. We sell used EVs, new EVs, all kinds of things. We're one of the leaders in Ontario in EVs. And one of the first things I'm going to talk about are the glasses bifocals. Not yet. I've been warned that at some point I'll hit that. One of the first things I want to talk about is tires. You can see on the Niro EVs, they come with Michelin tires. These are still a little wet, but you can read that there, hopefully. These ones aren't terrible in the winter, but they're not as good. Now, the Kia Soul comes with, I believe, Nexen winter tires or Kumo. Can't remember which one it is. they're a little bit less good from my personal experience in the winter. So either way, I'm going to encourage you to get winter tires if you encounter winter conditions. Now, first of all, the rubber for winter tires is going to give you better traction in the cold weather anyways. But here's the big thing that we've got going on with winter tires here. Because the electric motor can react instantly, it can cut power and give power instantly, it is far better with traction control. You've got wheel speed sensors in every one. So you've got ABS brakes, vehicle stability control, the traction control, all kinds of systems in there that monitor wheel speed, including your regenerative braking is going to be spinning there. So all of those things are going to matter if you can give your car just a little bit of traction. The computer in this car can react each individual wheel very, very quickly. And it's important that you give the wheels traction. So if you put winter tires on your car, which I do encourage everyone to do, you're going to get the benefits of all of those electronics that can very quickly react. I find that the EVs have a much better traction control than the regular gasoline cars. I don't know if it's because there's just no momentum in the drivetrain or a little bit different style that way. You can cut and reapply power instantly. It just works very, very well, but I do recommend winter tires. And of course, the first thing I get asked when you put winter tires on a car is what happens with range. So let me just do this. I'll turn my face around. I don't know if anybody wants to look at my face instead of the car, but what happens with range on a winter tire? So that's a great question. Winter range is something I cannot get into exactly in this video. So yesterday is a perfect example. Yesterday I drove, it wasn't all that cold. It was around -1 or so, but the roads were very slushy. Slushy, wet roads have more rolling resistance. The summer tires, especially, are very low rolling resistance. So if I'm just driving in the winter and the roads aren't slushy, I have much less rolling resistance. Therefore, I'm going to have more range. If the roads are slushy, I'm going to lose range. If you have to run your heat because it's -20, you're going to lose range. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the video and how that works. But people ask me to predict what kind of winter range they will get, and I just can't do that. It depends on the storms we get, and just because, so what happens if I drive through a storm and you garage your car through the storm, and then we both do the same trip on different days, but mine's driving through the storm. So a winter range, I hope you understand, is very, very difficult for me to predict. Because the summer range is predicted in ideal conditions. And of course, if you've watched our videos before, even though this car is rated for 385 kilometers, most of our customers are getting the 425 to 485 kilometers on this car summertime range, and many are getting over 500 kilometers of range. So summertime range is excellent. Wintertime range will cut into that, and we'll talk about why and how and all that kind of thing in this video as much as we can. But for me to predict what you will get in any given winter, it's impossible. My own personal car last winter, I had the short range Kia Soul. It's rated for 248 kilometers. I get 300 plus in the summer. I got over 200 all winter, no matter what driving I did. We'll see what happens this winter. So there's the quick range talk. Now, let me spin back around. Winter tires are going to cut range. Hopefully that's okay. Now, one thing, like I said, because the range is rated for 385 kilometers on this car, but real world range is higher, most of the time you're going to find that you're not losing quite the amount of range that you would think you would lose based on that 385 number. So we'll talk about range in a second, but throw winter tires on, not just for grip, accelerating and braking, but because everything you do, steering, braking, acceleration, everything, if you give the computers in this car a little bit of traction, it will do amazing things. It is, really, really good. Let's talk negatives right now. There's a couple negatives we've run into. All of our EVs have LED lights. Now, the Kia Soul heater does cut on range for a bit. Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll actually demonstrate that here in this car for you a little bit. When we talk about the lights in the Kia EVs, all of our lights are LED, and this doesn't really specifically apply to just EVs, but it is something you need to keep in mind. Now, the Kia Soul has a bigger shelf here in front of your headlights. Those of you that know the law, you are supposed to clear your windows and your full car of snow, not just your windows. You're also supposed to clear your lights and your license plate. Now, here's the thing. If you have an EV, I want you to clear away in front of your headlights before you go anywhere, because LED headlights do not create very much heat at all. It will not melt the snow in front of your lights. So that is something you want to keep in mind when you're driving, is just make sure your lights stay clear, because every light here, I don't know about the halogen fog lights. I believe they're still halogen. I'll have to double check that. I can't remember. But your running lights and other lights, they are LED. They will not melt the snow on their own, typically. The only other negative we're going to run into is something that happened yesterday to a customer of ours. And yeah, clean off the hood. We'll talk about that for sure. We'll talk about that in a second. One thing I want to talk about happened to a customer yesterday. Now, it has not happened to me ever. I have heard of this happening. But what happens is when you're driving into a slushy area, this area, which is your charge door, can get a little bit clogged up with ice. So, what I want you to do is when you park, I want you to wipe away your door there. It is just a minor little thing, but if that slush, which wipes away easily, turns into ice, it can be difficult to get this door open, and you need that door open to charge it. The car is very conveniently putting the plug in the front, but you only in the certain types of slushy conditions you have to be aware of that. I haven't found in any snowy conditions, but days like yesterday in Ontario here was a very slushy day, and we did have a customer who drove, parked the car, and then couldn't get their door open here just because some of that ice sits in around there, and I want to help you do that. Yes, so we're gonna. Aaron just mentioned radar plate. We're talking about that next. Uh, in front here, you have a radar plate. Now, there are a lot of things that that radar plate does. It is part of your forward collision warning system. It's part of your smart cruise control. And on an EV, if you set your car up to automatically regenerate, so it's on level 1, level 2, level 3, or there's an auto setting. We can talk about that if you have questions at the 30-minute mark. We'll remind me if you want me to show you how to set that up. Basically, what that means is the car senses the car in front of you and can increase the regenerative braking on its own. If that radar plate gets covered in slush or the right type of snow, you will get a warning in your dash that says the forward collision warning system is inactive, unavailable, as well as your smart cruise control. What you will not get warned though is that your automatic regenerative braking, that automatic setting that increases regenerative braking as you approach a car, it will also turn off and default to the level that your drive mode is set at. So level 1, level 2, level 3. We'll talk about what all this means, but if you own an EV, this is going to make sense. I'll show you how to do that as the other thing, but you want to just keep in mind that that forward collision warning did not stop working for you. It just is covered in ice and therefore can't read. So what you want to do is, yeah, somebody says they kick it lightly. Yeah, what you want to do is just wipe it clean. You don't really want to kick it. You don't really want to, I mean, it can take a little bit of abuse if you're smart, but I'm not going to recommend cleaning it. I'm just going to recommend wiping it clean. Because once you do that, your forward collision warning system can work and a collision avoidance system, your smart cruise control. Now, if you have set that, if that has stopped working just once, your automatic setting on your regenerative braking will not turn back on. You have to manually go in and change your settings to turn it back on. Not a big deal, but just something to keep in mind. All right, so LED lights, clear them. Charge door. When you're done driving, just wipe it off, especially if you're planning on charging it sometime. Just make sure it opens and closes, make sure there's no ice in there. And that radar plate, if it's clogged, you will get this terrible warning that your forward collision warning system has an error. It just means it's clogged up and it's not a big deal. So any sensors in the back of the car like that for the front, little things you can keep in mind. Your blind spot detection, which is also your rear cross traffic alert, has a sensor back in here in the plastic bumper area. In theory, that can get have some trouble if it has snow and ice on it. As well as on the Kia Niro, you have parking sensors front and rear. In theory, those can have difficulty if they have snow and ice on them as well. So not a huge concern on the back of the car, still LED lighting, so keep that a little bit clean. Again, properly wipe your car. Yes, there's a camera out front as well. The camera out front is part of your lane keep. Now, it should clear with your wipers. So you can see that there. It is in the wiper area. It does sort of get swept by the wiper. What that does is also part of the forward collision warning system, also part of the lane keep assist system, and that should be kept clean. And yeah, typical, yeah, you guys are really helping me here. On the back here, your wipe or your rear backup camera, same as on any car. Just give it a little wipe with your thumb. Some people have an adapter thing here that I've seen online. You guys can post that in the comments when the video is done. And there's a little brush that goes over top of there. I can't speak for or against that. I don't know long term if it's going to scratch the lens or anything like that. But I will say my dad bought one. Cam wipe. Yeah, cam wipe is coming soon. So that's what it's called. Cam wipe. We'll put that in the comments later. But again, I'm not endorsing it or not endorsing it, but you will see some people comment about that. And it just basically extends this out and wipes the brush there as well. So there you go. There is one of those. We'll talk about that as well. So that's some of the outside key things. Basically, clear your car of snow. I want you to remember, if you have an EV, to clear this charge door when it's slushy. Don't wait for it to get icy, and then you're perfectly fine. Now let's talk on the inside here. A lot of the things that have to do with range, because range is something you're going to think about a lot with an EV, except that you're not really. Most of the time in the summer, you don't think about range at all because you have way more than you need. Now, because this is an EV, I can fully start the car. So we're going to do that here. Just going to make sure the radio's turned down. All right. 374 kilometers of range. Let's see what that actually is. Remember, this car is rated for 385 kilometers of range. So let's take a look at what this means. I'm going to turn the climate system off and you're going to see a jump. 397 kilometers of range at 87%. Now, this car is, if you look at it, reading that it is very cold outside. It is 3 degrees Celsius outside. It's warning us that that snowflake is, there's ice possible. So this is not a car that's been sitting inside for a long time. I intentionally left it outside until just before the video. And so what I want to show you here is the actual range that this car is predicting. So we'll just jump into here. We're going to tap this button here. And you're going to see when it is full, it's still going to read about 465, except that we're going to turn the climate system on. And you can see top left corner here, climate system off, 397, climate system on, 374. Okay, so now let's just keep an eye on that 374 button here. Let's take a look at the climate control. So let's just see if we maybe just do that. Oops. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, so there's our battery, 87%. We've got the climate system on. Let's turn the climate system to 27 degrees. And that's going to be pretty warm. And you can see what's gone on. My range has gone down to, can you see it? No. Oh, 87. There we go. It's gone down to 368. Actually, you know what? We can switch this over here so I can see it better. I'm hitting the wrong buttons. So range has gone down to 368 by me turning the climate system on. But what it's done is it's still creating some electric heat. What we're going to do now is turn the fan speed up. Fan speed robs range. So 337, we were at 397 before, 337. Okay, let's talk about what we're actually seeing here. Turn this off so you can hear me. What I want you to keep in mind is if you keep this car starting, and let's say I do 5 kilometers a day. I come from my home to my work. Let's say it's 5 or 7 or 10 kilometers, and it's minus 20 outside every day. The car is going to predict that every time it drives, it runs essentially full heat because obviously it's going to run a lot of heat to get here. And it's going to make a range prediction based on the car running at full heat. Now, when I go for an hour-long drive, the full heat is only going to be on until it reaches temperature. So let's just see that again. Let's put the climate system up here for a second. Come on, climate. Oop, there we go. So there's our climate system. Now, if I turn this down to just say 20 degrees there, 21 degrees, it's going to reach 21 degrees eventually. And then I don't have to worry about on as much. It's not on full blast the same it would be like this. So when I'm going on a long trip, you're going to have a range predictor that says, let's say 377. Let's just pretend that we are going to drive 77 kilometers. Oftentimes in the winter, once the car warms up, you may get there and still have 325 kilometers of range. And that's because it got used to you using heat all the time. And then when you don't need heat all the time, it will sit there and just cycle in heat as needed to keep the temperature of 19 or 20 degrees or whatever you want. So let me just turn the climate system off for a second there. So again, you may drive, let's say it's 96 kilometers. You may drive all 96 kilometers, and instead of having 300 kilometers, you may still finish with 320 kilometers in the winter. That's possible on a longer drive simply because you don't have to run the heat as high on a shorter, longer trip. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Now, what I want to show you is there are a couple things that use a lot of range, and we'll show you again by looking right here. Turning on the climate system, we've got 396 right there. Turning on the climate system right now brings it to 376. Turning up the temperature will bring it up a little bit, and that makes sense. 22 on the top left corner, 23, 24, 25, 26 degrees. However, turning up the fan speed is what really robs you the most. So what I want you to do is stop playing with these on your own to save range unless you really want to save range by cutting power. If you tend to just hit the auto button, it will bring it to the temperature it needs to, and then we'll cut that fan speed down, cut that heat down as needed, and that will help. So if you hit that, if you leave it in the auto setting, it's going to work with you to get range. Now, unless you're willing to get cold, then start overriding it. But if you want to stay warm, let the automatic system do its work. Let me just turn the fan speed down here so I can hear myself think. Oh, there we go. All right, so that's the first tip. Next tip is this car has heated and ventilated seats. Use your rump roasters, use your heated seats, and use your heated steering wheel. What that can do is allow you to run maybe 1 degree, maybe 2 degrees cooler, and let's just see what that does. 372 at 23. If I go down to 20, let's go to let's go right down to, let's see, 20 degrees. 376. So it saves a couple right now, but it can save more over time. And now if I go driver only mode, it will save, in this case, 3 kilometers. So once the car has reached temperature, and if it's just you in the car, use the driver only mode. It won't save a ton. Like, this isn't going to save you a ton, but it can save you a few kilometers here and there. And then you're only cooling off just, or warming up just yourself. So that is a good way to do that. Okay. So again, driver only mode, 377 down to 380. Again, 3 kilometers might make a difference. Turn the heat back up to what I think is comfortable is 22 degrees, and I'm down to 374. Bring it up even more, I'm at 24 and a half. But if the fan speed starts turning up, that's really where you're seeing that loss. So there we go. Kind of a quick tutorial there. So that's just another quick thing. Now, this car has what's called UVO intelligence. If you see these three buttons, it has UVO intelligence. That is a cell phone app. I'll spin back around here. I can't show you the cell phone app on this car because it is a dealership car. It's not my own personal car, but the cell phone app can do a lot of things for you. It can preheat the car. You can also preheat the car if you leave every day at 9 o'clock in the morning. You can set the car to turn on or to turn its climate on at a certain time every day. If you're like me, you just use the app and you can set it. So let's say you're in the shopping mall, and unless you're in Toronto right now because you're locked down, but if you're in the shopping mall, you can set your car no matter where you are in the world, as long as your car's in the parking lot and you're in the mall and you've got internet. You can set the car to heat up. Now you can change your presets on that. You can set that up. I have mine set up so that it helps me in the garage. In the garage, I don't need my windows defrosted, but outside the garage, I do need my windows defrosted. You can set if you want your heated steering wheel to turn on, those kinds of things. A lot of people believe that that has to be plugged into the wall in order for you to do that, but you don't need to do that. Just as long as you have enough range to get home, then by all means, use your preheating through your cell phone app. And you can preheat the car, preheat the batteries, preheat everything else, and that will help. So UVO technology works. Toronto lockdown. Yeah, we've got a few Toronto people here. So make sure you use your cell phone app, whether you're plugged in or not. If you're plugged in, of course, it's going to preserve that range because it can move the power out of the wall. And if you're not plugged in, feel free to use it as well. You can get into a warm car. You're not throwing any tailpipe emissions out. You're just warming up the car. All right, we're going to go back outside. We're going to talk about a couple other things in the winter. One thing my shuttle driver and one of our commenters mentioned already is underneath the hood here. Let's just pop the hood for a second. That helps preheat the battery too, which increases the performance. Exactly. Preheating the car does not just preheat for comfort, it does preheat the battery, which helps for range. One of the things people talked about is the snow and ice can build on the hood, and you are absolutely correct because, oops, hold on, I need to just hold on, I'm using two hands here. All right. Underneath the hood, you have this EV plate. Now that is raised quite a bit. There's actually just a flat box under there. This is just made to look cool. So what you have is your motor, which is down lower than this. It's an electric motor. It really doesn't produce very much heat at all. You've got an insulating pad here. Just so you guys know, this is an insulating pad in all your gasoline cars. It's not just a sound insulation pad. If it was ever to have a fire, that would also douse the fire. Kind of cool to know. But that, of course, insulates the heat as well. So you've got really not a lot of heat here. Plus, you've got an insulating pad up top, which means, let me just shut the hood again here. If we go underneath or on top of the hood, you will have some snow buildup on there that does not disappear the same way a gasoline car does, which is why we say clear your whole car of snow and ice. And again, when you preheat your electric car, you're going to notice your windows clear, you're going to notice a lot of other things clear, but you may still see some snow and ice here. A lot of the time I get asked about, are our mirrors heated? Now, the old Hondas used to have a separate button for your mirror heaters and your rear defroster. You simply have to hit your rear defrost button on the car, which is right there in the center of your screen, says rear. Hit that button and your mirrors will defrost. So in other words, your rear mirrors or your mirrors defrost as well as the grid lines in your rear window. Another question I get asked is, what about charging outside in bad weather? A lot of people have the level 1 charger. That's the plug that comes with the car. And they say, what should I do? Well, a couple things you can do. On this car, you can see you have a cap. Now on the Kia Soul, this can sit out and it can actually sit, it can sit on a little clip over here. This one is attached to the other side. You can sit it down here. You want to make sure in the bad weather that that is not pooling with water. It's not the end of the world if it does. But the idea is don't take a cup full of water that's sitting here like this and pour it into your car. Just keep it clear. It will basically be clear anyways the way it sits. But just make sure there's not pooling water in there because you don't want water getting in there. It's not going to electrocute you usually. What it'll do is throw a warning message if there's stuff. But you want to keep the dust and the water out of here. However, that being said, actually I should show you this one quickly too. This is the end on our charger right here. If you have a level 1 charger, you have a cap on the end of this. Use the cap. Keep the dust and water out of this area. Public charging stations, they usually cover these up a little bit. They can handle getting wet. These are all weather chargers. This whole charger can be mounted outside or inside. It's not a big deal. But again, don't pour water from there into your car. Most of the time it's ice in the winter. So somebody keeps asking me, or I regularly get asked, can I use the charger in all weather? And absolutely you can. Just make sure that you're not pouring any water in there or pouring any water or dust into the charger. Just plug it in and you're good to go. And always keep that capped. There's a reason that's capped and there's a reason that it won't shut when the cap's not on. You want to just keep them covered. So some level 2 chargers come with a cap. So there you go. Always try to keep those free of of water and dust. Would bad weather have any effect on level 3 charging? Not really. Just let the level 3 charging is a different charger again. It gets very, very hot. What if water accidentally goes in the car? Then just dry it out, blow it out. It's not going to usually, I mean, like my experience is it's not going to kill you or anything like that. And be aware you're dealing with electricity, so I'm not going to promise you that nothing's going to kill you. Can't promise you the gas pump won't blow up either. But just keep in mind, you want to try to keep moisture out of those. But once it's plugged in, it's designed to do its work. It can handle the rain, it can handle the snow, it can handle all of those things. It's not a big deal. The worst you're going to get, from my experience, is a warning light. It's not going to do anything, crazy. But just try to keep that out. So we're 27 minutes in. We've shown you a lot of things. Give me some questions here. Does it preheat seats and steering wheel? Okay, that's a good question. A lot of our EVs, I can't remember the E-niro. Maybe some of you guys can remember the E-niro, but my personal EV, the seats do not heat, but the steering wheel does. And I don't know why. I feel like, both of them should. So I believe, yeah, steering wheel only on the E-niro as well. So that is one thing that Kia does on their EVs right now. If you don't like that, don't talk to me. Write to Kia Canada. I'm with you on that. But the steering wheel heats and the seats do not. Now, that being said, once you get in the car, they heat up fairly quickly. My EV Premium Kia Soul has cloth seats, and that's perfect. What's the preheat best time between an EV and ICE? Albert, I don't understand what you're asking there. I think they're set on the app to preheat for about 10 minutes. In colder climates, does it take longer for the battery to charge, especially if it's stored outside? Also, if stored outside, does the battery dissipate faster? Okay, so heat is the enemy of your battery. In colder climates, once the car is charging, as long as it's got enough heat, it will charge. It can take longer to charge in the winter. You will also see a reduced range in the winter when it's predicting your range, and reduced real world range. How much? I don't know. You do lose some battery efficiency in the cold weather. So that's both in charging and in discharging. However, some of that is also due to your driving factors. So we've sort of talked about the driving factors. Your batteries themselves will give you a little bit less range in the winter. Preheating the car, is there a time difference between the EV and ICE? Oh, so that is the other advantage of an EV. If you sit in the car, let's say you just get in the car, let's say this is a gas car. Get in a gas car, turn the engine, you're driving several kilometers before the heat comes on. This car, get in the car, turn the heat on, the heat's pretty much instant. The heat comes on very, very quickly on an EV because it doesn't have to wait for the gasoline motor to create enough heat to pump it into the car. It's basically an electric heater. So keep in mind, an EV is absolutely quicker to heat the interior type of car. You're just going to use some range to do it. When charging roads are a thing, I'll buy an EV. Yeah, exactly. Okay, let me keep going back. There's some other questions in here. Heated seats and steering wheel didn't affect it noticeably. Exactly. So people ask about should I use the heated steering wheel and the heated seats or the climate system? Heated seats and heated steering wheel, you will not notice a range change. They draw very little power compared to everything else. So it's not something that's going to affect your range. I mean, in theory they do, but it's not something you're going to see a noticeable range reduction. as opposed to using the regular heat, you will. A couple of things to look for. My EV Premium Kia Soul does not have what they call a heat pump. Um, Now, we'll talk about the Niro in a second again, because there is a Niro that doesn't have a heat pump and it also doesn't have battery warming technology. I recommend getting battery warming technology in Canada. The Niro EV EX does not have that. It is a price point car. That's a whole other video. But you want, if you can, you want to get that regenerative. So let me tell you about heat pump. What it does is it captures the regenerative braking heat and stores it essentially in a box. When you turn the heat on, instead of only using the electric heater, it also uses that hot air and throws it in the car. That's a good thing to have. I'm not sure how much range it really saves you. I find mine running just electric heat, uses quite a bit of, or uses a certain amount of electricity. I find these cars use similar, but in theory, that ability to recapture on the EV luxury EV Limited Kia Soul and EV the SX of this Niro, they do have that function that captures that. Let me still go through. Ceramic coating, does the snow stick to it or is it difficult to get off the camera? You know what? My dad ceramic coated his car. I don't think that's an issue with snow. It's not a big deal. Don't know if it's in Canada. Puerto Rico Burger King has parking set. Yeah, lots of charging stations around. The lights on top of the dash shows. Yeah, somebody asked earlier if there's a light outside the car that shows charging status. And you know what? Why don't I just show you that right now while we're doing this? There's 3 lights there. I have a charger right here. So here's how to charge the car real quickly. Gonna pop open the door like that. We're gonna pop open the plug like that. Get that out of my way because I've only got one hand free. All right, we'll do that in a second. Gonna turn on my charger here. So it's not on. You can see now it's on. Power light will come on. There we go. And we're going to put this plug into the car. Let me just move that down. Try to get it on camera here. There we go. Plug it in like, whoops, doing it one-handed. There we go. Click it in like that. It's stuck. I hear a clunk on the charger, and you're going to see, you want at least to see some lights go on there. And you can see there, 2 lights are on. That's because it's at least 2/3 charged, which we saw was 87% or something like that. The last light is blinking. When the last light is solid, it is fully charged. So you're always looking for that. If you're at a public charging station or anything else, as soon as you plug in the car, I want you to look at those lights. As long as a light comes on, it's charging. So that's good to know. All right, we were trying to get to 30 likes. We have 18. I've lost some interest here, and that's okay. There's a little bit less interest in EVs when we go into the details. Is there any question that I missed, guys? I'm just looking through real quickly. If there's something I missed, please let me know. But will take its time, but it's not something that affects your driving. You won't see that. So my regulars are encouraging you to smash the like button. Will it stop taking current when it's fully charged? Yes, it will. So you can set it to stop at whatever point, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100%. What we recommend for best practices is always try to keep it between that 20% and the 80% mark. Not a huge concern if you keep them over or under, but the best practice for battery longevity is keeping it between 20 and 80%. Now, in the winter, you may find you have less range at the 80%, and you may want to go to 90% or 100%. That's fine. Do what you need to do to get your driving range. The idea is if you're storing the car, keep it between 20 and 80%. What my wife and I do is we charge it no less than 20%, unless we need to use that range, and we charge it up to 80%, unless we know we need that extra 20% of range. Now, we have a shorter range car than some of you will be buying with these, so that's one thing to keep in mind as well. But that 80% will be a little bit less kilometers in the winter. So if that's not enough, just charge it a little bit more. Okay, I think that's where we're going to leave it, guys. 33 and a half minutes in. That's sort of your basic EV. If you want to know more about EVs, we do these videos every single weekday. We do some sort of Kia product. We certainly are willing to talk about EVs. I am willing to talk about EVs all day long. So if you want to know more about an electric vehicle, ask me in the comments. If you want to see another video like this, if you have something specific you want to know, feel free to ask me in the comments. A lot of time your comments are what spurs some of these videos. I get some emails from people. So yeah, Helber says, thanks for the EV 101 class. I'm happy to give EV 101 classes all the time. Those are best practices. So again, clear the full car of snow and ice, including the front charging port and the lights. Use winter tires. Use your heat a little bit less to gain a little bit extra range. Use the heated seats and the heated steering wheel. That will help you. Fan speed, not just heat, but fan speed on the heating system also affects range. If you want to stay warm and comfortable, use the auto setting. If you're switching it off of the auto setting, you're doing that to save range, which means you're going to be a little cooler inside. Those are the highlights of what we just talked about. Hopefully that helps you. And tomorrow we'll be back with another live video. Probably not an EV, but I'm certainly willing to do more EVs today. So thanks from Sweden. Thanks to Bjorn. I'm happy to have you here. All right, we'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks for hitting the like button, subscribe button if you want, and we will talk to you again soon.